I got my audience, Waluka, Matthias, and Dylan today to watch my speech, my argumentative speech. And then I have my visual aid. Now, are you voting correctly? Now, the point of this presentation is to make sure that everyone is voting properly because voting is very important. Many people think there are only two parties, and it's a common misconception. There are more parties, and there are more candidates that you can vote for that run in independent parties as well. The first thing is we need more voices. When you only have two candidates, you have to choose between what values that you want. So if you want a value such as abortion, right, and you're pro-life, then you get to choose the Republican Party because the Democrat Party takes a completely different side. Although, if we have more voices, we can have parties that have the pro-life that you want and maybe another value that you want as well. So something that like the Democrats have, such as maybe you want healthcare in the government. And so then you can get both values if you want, so you don't have just to choose between which values you want. You can get a party or a candidate that supports you better for who you want and what values you want to have. The second thing is, why is it a bipartisan system right now? Well, the way the American government is set up is you need 270 out of 538 votes in order to be the presidential candidate, right? So that means one candidate would have to get more than half of the votes. Okay, so if there are only two people, then one candidate has the possibility to get more than half of the votes. Although if you have three people, the votes would split more. Although, if we voted properly, then if we did have a candidate that went over 50% of the votes and got the 270, obviously that candidate would win and we wouldn't have anything to worry about. Although if a candidate does not reach 270 votes, then the vote goes to the House of Representatives and the Senate. And then they get to choose who we want as president and vice president. And if we choose the right House of Representatives and the right Senate, then we should get a candidate that supports our views as Americans and our views as voters. The second thing is what John Adams said, is the great political evil. The great political evil is having a bipartisan system. And the reason is, in a bipartisan system, you're only hearing two major voices. You're only hearing what two major sides want. And you never get to hear the little guys. So you never get to hear the other parties and maybe the smaller parties that could support you better, but you don't hear them because you only have the two parties that you're hearing. And the reason that we have representatives is to support the little guys. So it's not just the majority rule, it's the fact that everybody's being represented properly. And that's why we should have more than two parties. If you're gonna take away anything from my speech, take away the fact that there are more than two parties and you should vote for whoever you want to vote for, no matter who they are, no matter what party affiliation they are. And at the end of the day, if you want to vote for the same party, that's okay. But make sure you go out and you use your right to vote. And that's the end.